Whenever it comes to the politics, that is a key advantage to Wyoming. It's definitely, like you said, what America used to be, but at the same time, it's so few people that it's not really a concern or a worry here.
That is correct.
Have you been involved at all with what's going on with Iran?
Trump made it very clear. Israel, we got your back. Go ahead and take care of business. And then Iran decided to get crazy about it. And next thing you know, we're involved. I could not imagine a better president to do what is being done right now, putting Iran where they need to be.
I feel like it's been a love-hate relationship with Wyoming. I feel like Wyoming, living here for 10 years, and when I first moved here, I didn't think I was signing up for some kind of life lesson. I just thought I was living somewhere with a lot of wind.
It's funny because I've traveled all over the United States, and everybody knows Wyoming for its wind.
Everywhere has its benefits, everywhere has its advantages and life lessons that it's taught. If there's anything I've learned from the place that is known as Wyoming, it shapes you whether you mean for it to or not. We are now live once again for another episode of Duo Jive. How's it going, Chris?
Today, buddy, I am super stinking fantastic. Thank you for asking.
That is wonderful to hear.
And how are you?
I knew that was coming and still didn't prepare to go after you. I'm doing pretty A-okay. How about that? No, that's not
pretty A-okay. Okay, all right. Pretty A-okay. I get some fun responses from other employees at our job site. And it's funny because they try to come up with something better. It always turns into something along the lines of supercalifragilisticexpialidocious or something,
Yeah, they try, it's just difficult. Kind of like what I'm doing. I have to really sit and think about it. But doing great, doing good, doing lovely jubbly. I don't know. It's been good. Been a good week. How has your week been?
Amazing. We're only 2 days into this week as far as the work week is concerned. And, I'm very blessed to have a wonderful job. And I'm not sure how long it will last, but I'm going to enjoy it for a while longer.
Does that mean it's coming to an end, possibly?
It's really not scheduled to come to an end. However, the position that we are in as contractors, you just don't know from one day to the next, to the next, how long that position will last.
Typically, there's at least some insight as to like an expected end date. Is that here soon?
No.
Okay.
No, the project will last another 2.5 years. And there's been some discussion about me staying. The discussion was actually before I even came here, about staying for 2.5. Now it looks like I'll be here for 3.5. That's how the conversations are going. But
more time in the horizon. That's good to hear.
Absolutely. How'd it go for you? How's it going for you?
It's pretty good. I got a little 4-day weekend, so can never complain about something like that.
Nope.
Excuse me.
Nope. Sure can.
This was a little extended weekend, which is pretty normal with my shift that I have going on, and we made the best of it. Tiff and I did some traveling this weekend. A little double whammy to a nearby town over in Wyoming, Casper, Wyoming, that is, if anyone's familiar. Shout out to you guys. We went and visited to run some errands, got some desserts, hint, hint, and we got to hang out a little bit. So it was a fun weekend. Nothing crazy, nothing like a Denver trip or anything.
Sure.
We had a good time.
A Denver trip isn't something I guess it is something you do spontaneous. Quite often, as a matter of fact.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, good. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you rate this past week?
So the week we're in or the one before?
The one leading up to, I guess if we're going from podcast episode to podcast episode, from Tuesday to Tuesday.
Well, so Thursday I picked your mom up from the hospital and brought her home and took care of her all weekend. It's been a great, great week.
Healing nicely.
Yes, and she is. We're thankful for that because God has blessed us. How about you?
Very true. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 7. I could have done more.
Wow.
I could have done more, but that's how it always is. I'm one of those people.
And the primary influence was the weekend, I'm sure.
Well, yes and no. Throughout the week too. It's easy for people to get accustomed to their normal routine and then because of that, they go to work, come home, do their thingies, and then they go to bed and then they rinse and repeat, which means weekdays aren't utilized for anything other than that. And I try to stay away from that. I want to do
Good.
something a little productive throughout the week too.
Amen. Good.
So
I like it.
break
A
the
whole lot.
system.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, it is a defining trait of successful people.
Well,
FYI.
interesting.
Yes, it is.
Whether or not I do it for success,
Well,
we'll see, but it's
I mean,
definitely just kind of, it makes me feel better to be productive throughout the week. So by the time the weekend rolls around, if I'm still productive, I have already something to build off of.
absolutely. And you feel better, right?
That's it, man.
Yeah, I like it
But
a
overall,
lot.
good week. It was a fun week. There wasn't much news or chatter, social media wise. Well, I take that back. There seems to be. Have you been involved at all with what's going on with? Not to get too in the
Political.
thick of it, or
Yeah,
political, or in the thick
right.
of it, or depressing. But have you been involved at all with what's going on with ISIS and all that? Or
Not
not
ISIS.
ISIS, Israel?
Iran.
Iran.
Iran. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Israel is involved because Trump made it very clear. Israel, we got your back. Go ahead and take care of business, right? And then Iran decided to get crazy about it. And next thing you know, we're involved. And I like it. Operation Something Fury, I think it is, but it's magnificent. I could not imagine a better president to do what is being done right now and putting Iran where they need to be. Taking a lot of Iran's abilities away from them, and they have been. They've barraged Iran with hundreds of missiles in very strategic locations. Of course, you're going to get the chatter from these organizations and people that want to suggest that this is wrong, right? And they even want to say things like America's blowing up schools and all that stuff. That's stupid. That's just stupid. They're way too smart for that. And I like it. I like what's going on over there, and I like how Iran suddenly finds itself very incapable when it comes to a response.
Hmm.
This thing.
I feel like that was, I mean, I guess on the American mindset, even for me, someone that's not, I guess, as involved, that was assumed. I didn't think it was surprising to see how, getting bits and pieces here, how aggressive Iran was acting, considering they were fighting
Really?
America, fighting
Yeah.
the United States
And Israel.
and Israel. And
Yeah.
it was interesting to me that, yeah, that they were willing to put up the fight, I'll give them that, but wasn't the smartest decision. You not scared at all?
No. 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 No.
Not nervous?
First and foremost, this is not a world war developing. It'll
No?
never ever. No. Heck no. Heck. No. And that's the first thing. And then second thing is the men and women in our military. They know what they signed up for, and it was exactly this. They signed up for exactly what we are doing and why we're doing it. They signed up for making sure that as far as certain continents or countries are concerned, there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. And when you get into a mindset like Iran has been in for many years, uh, ever since the 70s, I think it is. That's when they fell to Islam.
Mhm.
Iran got this thing about, well, we're tough. We're gonna impose our will on other countries, and that was a mistake.
I agree with you on that, that's for sure.
If you see pictures and video of what Iran used to be like
It
and
used
what
to
it
be
did,
entirely different.
yes,
I've
and what
heard
it
and I've
became,
seen.
yeah, what it became with Islam is so sad, so disgusting. It's kind of crazy.
You know what I
But
just realized, though? Not to go off
what?
topic this quick, but we are 8 minutes in, or 9 minutes in now, and we just got into a little bit of a off subject matter, and we
Yeah, we
still
did.
have not introduced ourselves once again.
Well, then I think we should.
Should we
What do you
fix
think?
that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, welcome in. If you're new to the podcast, I'm your hosts.
Welcome, welcome.
We are your hosts, Noah and Chris over here.
Yes,
Two
sir.
dudes. And as far as we're concerned, still figuring this thing out, even though we are 40 episodes in, which is pretty crazy to say. But once again,
40.
I know. Welcome to this week's episode of Duo Jive, whether you're tuning in for the first time or have
Yes.
listened to all 43 episodes, which is even more
Yes.
crazy. 43 episodes we have made it in. Seriously,
Wow.
thank you, by the way.
Yes.
Welcome to Wyoming's #1 podcast for
Number
questionable
one.
advice,
Number
accidental
one.
wisdom, and deeply unnecessary storytelling.
Number one.
And before we go any further, before we get into it again, into the weeds that we tend to do, because we like to do that,
Yeah, we do. We do tend to and love to.
make sure to come hang out with us on Instagram and TikTok. Shoot us a follow, like, and subscribe, and make sure whatever platform you're listening on to hit that subscribe button and leave a in whatever podcast you're listening on, make sure to hit that follow button and leave us a comment.
Like or subscribe, please. Follow, right? Or
Hmm.
follow. Depends on what platform. And what are the platforms that they can hang out with us on, by the way?
All of the above.
I like that
Got to
very
keep the
much.
CTA as short as possible.
CTA. Okay, you're going to have to enlighten me.
Call to action, baby.
Well, there we go. All right. Well, then let's do. In the meanwhile, what dessert did you try?
This week's dessert was a little bit of a new one, but nothing special because it was a crumble. That's going to be the fallback for me at this point. Anytime I don't really have an exotic dessert to try, which is very limiting
Yes.
here in my small ye old town of Wyoming.
Yield.
It is
Okay.
it is lacking in the dessert department, that's for sure. But whenever I do get to leave town, I try to try more exotic desserts. We got over to Casper, and they do have a crumble, and we got to try out one of this week's cookies.
And that was?
It was the strawberry Biscoff cookie.
Well, that sounds good, actually.
That's what I thought.
And?
It was good because it was like a strawberry cream cheese frosting, and then the
Ooh.
base itself was was like a Biscoff, like crumbled up Biscoff cookies, like baked into a sugar cookie, and then it had
Mm,
Biscoff crumbles. I tasted
mm.
no Biscoff though. That was the disappointing part.
That does sound disappointing,
Mhm.
especially when you got your heart set on a Biscoff
I'm telling you, man.
or the flavor thereof.
The
Wow.
strawberry
Okay.
knocked it out of the park. The Biscoff was so non-existent that it brought it down significantly.
Wow. Well, I did not expect that at all. I mean, especially from Crumble, right? I
Mhm.
mean, we
It
both
may have
love.
been just the cookie that I got. You may have to go try for yourself. I always say, get a second opinion. So,
I've already had my dessert for this week.
you have.
Yes, sir, I have.
Well, that's exciting to hear.
Yeah, it was a caramel,
Ooh.
just a caramel shake from Freddy's.
So, a classic.
Yes,
And how was it?
and it was pretty rich. I mean, I tasted the caramel, which was awesome. I did not suffer the same fate you suffered, by not being able to taste the flavor that I was looking for. It was a little bit too rich. I know that sounds
Really?
weird.
It
Yeah,
sounds
that sounds
crazy
weird.
coming from you.
It is starting to become more frequently where I find myself kind of thinking maybe things are too rich or too sweet for me. And it's probably because my tastes are changing. I'm thinking about my health a little bit more, you know, and trying to do the right thing more frequently. So, yeah, it overwhelmed me a little bit. But on the flip side to that, I did enjoy the first third, maybe almost half of the shake. I expected it to be good, and I expected to finish the whole thing, but I couldn't.
You wouldn't dare say it was too caramelly, would you?
Never.
Okay. It
Never.
was just too
It was
sweet.
not. No, it was just too sweet and too rich. And I gave the second half of the shake to my dog, and she loved it.
I bet, yeah.
It was really good. And so that was my dessert taste of the week, and it wasn't exotic, but it was good.
Well, there you have it. We have two desserts this week that we have been able to enlighten you guys on, if you're listening out there, on our
Absolutely.
opinions on it. Nothing crazy,
Yes.
just a
Nope.
crumble cookie taste test and a caramel sundae from Freddy's taste test.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I would recommend it. Don't get a large. Whatever you do, get a small.
I'm all about the smalls now. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's kind of strange and cool that we both sampled something that we could share this
Mm-hmm.
week, which
Agreed.
is awesome. Yes, sir. Yeah. I guess we should make sure everybody knows how important it is this week to introduce 10 more people to the at least 10, right? 10 or more, 100 would be fine,
Yeah.
but 10 or more people to the podcast so that they can follow us. And
Well, specifically, you're talking about TikTok, right?
absolutely.
Okay, so yes, you are right. TikTok, we are 10 followers away, which is exactly what we were from last episode shooting, which means we haven't jumped any, which is okay. There are weeks like that.
Oh
The
yeah. Oh
grind
yeah.
don't stop though. If anything, we
Nope.
should double down on it. But we
Absolutely.
are only 10 subscribers away, and then we'll be at 50. I keep saying subscribers. We are 10 followers away, and then we
Yep.
will
On
be.
TikTok.
That's right. We are at 40 followers, which means we are 10 away, which that means there hasn't been a jump in subscribers or followers or whatever they're called. We haven't bumped up at all, but the grind don't stop. We're 10 away, and then we'll be at 50 followers on TikTok, which will
Yes.
give us the
Yes.
ability to live stream, which means we
Yes.
can chat with you guys in person, whoever watches on that. Join us for maybe a possible pre stream, like a pre live stream recording before the pod goes live, or we start recording
Sure.
our podcast on
Sure.
Tuesdays. Something to do and look forward to.
Yes. Absolutely. We really need to be able to take a call while we're recording or
In
broadcasting.
order to take a call, we need to get a phone number that people can call in and leave voicemails, or they can call in person, but there is some risk with that because then
Yeah, I've done it quite a few times in radio. And it requires a setup that's a little bit more, well, much more elaborate than what we currently have. So maybe later.
maybe later. That's it.
Yes. So
But in the
10,
meantime, 10 more.
imagine
10 is the magic
10
number.
followers on TikTok. And that involves us, everybody, as a matter, for that matter, talking about us. Thank you very much for doing that. We're really appreciative.
Yes, sir. I agree.
What else is going on this week?
Nothing much, just living life over here in good old Wyoming. We actually, crazily enough, we're in March, and crazily enough, we just got I'm going to be honest, our first snowfall of the year.
Yes, I saw that.
You did.
I saw that. And that's
Crazy.
quite phenomenal. Yeah.
It was a lot. Like it came down aggressive this morning and it snowed all day, but because of the fact that it was the first snowfall and we're in March, that should tell you how mild this winter was, which is
But yeah.
crazy because typically the winters up here can be pretty aggressive. It was a very mild
Yes.
winter, especially
Brutal.
because there's other parts of the world this past winter that got hit pretty hard. I guess they took our snow or
Yep. East
something.
Coast. Yep.
Yes, the East Coast, and we dodged a bullet there, but we got some snow. It didn't last long. It snowed a good amount, so I had to do some shoveling, but it's melting pretty quick. I'm pretty sure it'll probably be all gone and
Well, tomorrow's
melted.
going to be like 60 degrees
Yes,
or
it's
50
gonna go
degrees,
back
I
up.
think, 48 or 50 degrees.
Mhm.
And, that's going to melt it all off. So, but that's kind of cool.
Gonna be a muddy mess.
Well, it'll be slushy in the
Mhm.
second part of the day. And it's never going to get cold enough overnight tomorrow night to refreeze it. That's kind of a
Mhm.
good sign. That's a
Yes.
really good.
Yeah, it won't be that severe as far as hopefully I-80 staying fairly
Yep.
open.
Well,
We're not
fortunately,
having
you're
to be
not
worried
going
there.
anywhere with that
Nope,
right now. And your sister got in just in time.
she did. She dodged a bullet.
Wow. That was a lot. And I I don't expect you guys to get a whole lot more, although they're expecting a little bit of snow
And
and
that's the
interest.
funny part. I mean, in both December, January, February, all of these previous months, we were supposed to they would show snowstorms that were showing 6 inches plus of snowfall. And we were like, okay, here it comes the big
Yeah,
snowfall. Here it comes. And then
here comes this year's.
it
Yeah,
rained for 5 minutes. It did nothing. It
yep.
rained for 5 minutes. That was it. And then this one
Saw that.
wasn't even on the radar.
Isn't that remarkable?
So my guess is if this one's showing on the radar, we're probably not going to get anything,
That's great.
which is good for traveling.
Yeah, yes, it is. And moderation is every once in a while. there are years where it got cold and stayed cold, so cold, bitter,
Mhm.
frigid, and the wind on top of it turned it into this really, really rough, super rough area to be in that time of year.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So, crazily this is gonna be weird for me to say and, like, the realization of it. I've been here for, I think, maybe over 10 years now,
What?
and this was the
Really?
most wild winter. This is the most mild, in wild being that it was so mild, it was wild, winter that I've actually encountered.
Okay. Huh? I agree. I do. I agree. And I've been there 15 year, a little bit over 15, 16 years.
Mhm. That's a crazy amount of time in a state like Wyoming, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm transplanted now. I am now officially transplanted.
Yeah, I would say so.
And most of the family is as well. I mean, I can't imagine that there's any person in our family really that's not officially transplanted.
Mhm. And I feel like it's been a not bittersweet, but like a love-hate relationship with Wyoming. I feel like Wyoming living here for 10 years, what 10 years in Wyoming, it's actually taught me some things.
Oh, really?
I
Okay, this is
guess, yeah.
interesting.
I've lived in Wyoming for about 10 years now, which is still crazy.
Yeah.
And when I first moved here, I didn't think I was signing up for some kind of life lesson or anything like that. I just thought I
Okay.
was living
Okay.
somewhere with a lot of wind. And that was whenever I initially moved up here. I didn't think it would get worse with
Yes.
that
Yes.
relationship.
Okay, I could see that. And Wyoming, it's funny because I've traveled all over the United States and everybody knows Wyoming for its wind.
Hmm. Man, it's wind.
That
Yep.
has been to Wyoming. They know it. And it can be brutal. Absolutely.
Everywhere has its benefits, everywhere has its advantages and life lessons that it's taught. If there's anything I've learned from my time in Wyoming, there's a few, but I guess after a decade, you start to realize the place that is known as Wyoming, shapes you whether you mean for it to or not. And I guess a
Okay.
big one is self-reliance. I don't know if you agree with me on this, but this
Well,
is one thing that I've learned as far as Wyoming moving up here and being as rural as it is. Wyoming
yes,
makes you self-reliant. It just does.
it
I feel
does.
like
Absolutely.
because there's a lot less people, so
Yes, there
that
is.
means you have to do things on your own.
It's ironic that you mentioned that because just not too long ago, I was probably 2 months ago, I had a conversation with someone here who spent a little bit of time in Wyoming doing some work in Wyoming, and he said he did not want to go back
He didn't
because
wanna
he
go to back
felt
to Wyoming?
no, he said he felt alone. Okay, well, the whole time he was there, there weren't enough people, which is true. I could see
Mhm.
that being true, but he also felt like it was it was almost too rugged. And on a personal level, I know people in the town that we live in that they typify, they resemble that. They're very wind beaten. If that
Oh,
makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, well, I mean, unless you were born and raised here and you're just a part this is a part of your life and who you are,
Yeah,
it changes you.
yeah, and it's not for everybody.
Nope. You
And it's
shovel
also
your
one
own
of the
what's that?
yeah, well, it's one of the reasons why it's the least populated state in the nation.
Because of the wind or because of just what
The wind is a part of that,
a
right?
part
But
of
it
it? Okay.
it plays into it. Yeah, I mean, it's a very low population.
Don't
It's
even get me
cold.
started on the winter because, like, for example, I was saying you shovel your own snow, you fix what you can when you can because it may be negative 10 degrees out, and then don't even get me started on the driving conditions. You driving conditions most people would call off a day of work for.
Yeah, exactly. And then people think we're being mean when we
Mhm.
laugh when they say, "Yeah, we
We
had
had
to
a
call
snow
off
day.
work or school."
What's a
That's right.
snow day? It just means
Exactly.
I'm doing more work at work because I have to shovel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny. And what people imagine Alaska to be like, Wyoming is that state. A
I
lot like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's one thing that I've learned, and that's funny because I mean, I like modern stuff. I'm one of the people that could totally just fall into more, the modern amenities. I try to be restrictive on it, to use it when I need it type of stuff and don't abuse it type of deal. Like, for example, door dashing or Ubering or all of that stuff. Unless it becomes a part of my daily routine, I use it when I need it. But I like
Okay.
convenience. I like traveling to places and stuff like that where things can be a little bit easier. Like we like going to Denver and stuff like that. So I understand both sides, especially because I grew up in Florida where it was
Yep. Yep.
very, I wouldn't say modern, but a lot more people, a lot more accessible,
Current.
yet current.
It's current. Technologically, it's just current.
But Wyoming doesn't care what you prefer. It forces capability.
Yep. 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 Yeah. Not a whole lot of flashy new cars. Not a whole lot of flashy homes.
Mhm.
You know, it's a lot like being rural
Mhm.
in any other
Rural,
state.
rural Wyoming.
Yep.
Isn't that a slogan?
Yep. I don't know. I
Hmm.
have no idea. Interesting. Could be. But there were bumper stickers here when I first came, and they're still around that say Wyoming, what America used to be,
Mhm. That's
because
a crazy sticker.
yeah, it's old fashioned in a lot of ways as well.
Now, do you like the slow pace? Are you bigger? Are you okay with the slow pace? Is it too slow sometimes? Are you preferable of that lifestyle or either or?
Well, personally, yes, I love the slower pace. I don't need any of the modern amenities that are available in urban areas.
Mhm.
I don't need it. And maybe it's partly because of the fact that I get my share of that stuff because of how much I travel, right? In all these different cities in America, and a lot of big cities, a lot of small cities, but I get my fill of it, if that makes any sense. But now, over the past decade, America has changed in the urban areas. And it's because it's slower here, because it's less people, because it's less apt to want to be some city or state that's very active politically for the wrong side. I love, for that reason, for those reasons, I love Wyoming.
Yeah, whenever it comes to the politics, that is a key advantage to Wyoming because they may, it's definitely like you said, what America used to be, but at the same time, it's so few people that it's not really a concern or a worry here.
That is correct.
So there are
What about you?
benefits.
What
That's
about you?
well, I definitely don't have an old school ranch hand or rancher mindset. I like,
Okay.
I'm definitely more modern. Clearly, doing podcasting and all of that.
That's true. That's
But
true.
the slow down pace, like Wyoming has forced me to slow down in ways I really didn't expect. Evenings can feel quieter. There's space to breathe that
Wow.
is lacking in other, major cities and major
Wow.
homes and or major towns that are near major cities. Like this thing like that, I feel like you can appreciate family time more. It isn't rushed by constant
I
noise
could
or
see that. I could see
busyness.
that.
There
I
are
could see it.
benefits to that, and that's why we take advantage of them when we can, and at the same time, we like to get out and go and adventure out wherever that may be. But that is a benefit to me, I will say.
That makes my heart happy. It really does. Because I mean, what's more important than God, right? What's more important than God and family?
Amen to that.
You know, and it makes my heart. And what happens as we grow as people in age and experience, things like that will begin to take precedence and become very, very, so much more important to us.
Hmm.
I like it.
Yeah, I
Well,
figured I'd have a few questions about Wyoming. We always say, we're Wyoming's number one podcast, and I figured we'd justify that with an episode that, or some questions that, pertain to Wyoming.
okay, go ahead.
Well, that was it. Well, those were the questions. I guess if I were to leave questions with somebody, with you guys listening, with you, Chris, has your
Yeah.
environment
Yep.
made you stronger or just more comfortable?
Oh, come on now. Come on. Well, so for me, just about every day makes me stronger because that's just life. Experiencing life does that. It makes us stronger. And I'm sure everybody has that kind of an answer if they get really honest with themselves. Okay. But the question, I guess, now is, does the environment in Wyoming make me stronger?
I mean,
Mm.
are you from Wyoming? That's up to you. That's up for you to debate. Like I said, this is the questions for the listeners. So, oh, here's another one. This is actually one that actually does pertain to me because I deal with this quite a bit is, are you blaming where you live or letting it shape you?
Well, okay, honestly, I don't blame anything for anything. I
That's
don't.
a good that thing. That's something that I could learn from you because for the longest time, like I said, I had a love-hate relationship with Wyoming, and it was because I didn't like the slowness and I didn't appreciate it for what it was, and because of that, I
Right. I can
resented
see
it.
that. And I'm sad to hear that. But at the same time, I kind of sense that is changing for you. And I'm very happy about that. Not because I want you to stay in Wyoming and I don't want you to stay close, although I would love that and enjoy it, having family close by. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is that you and your family are loving life and enjoying it where you are, right? For me, I for most of my life, I make where I'm at the happy place,
That's
if that
it.
makes it, you know?
Life's what you make it.
Exactly. Yes,
You gotta make the best of
exactly.
it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I can't blame anybody for anything. I blame me for being a dork sometimes, but that's about
Mm.
it. Well, you got any more questions?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, these are just questions that are supposed to leave with you guys listening. And if you agree with these questions or if you don't agree, it's up for you to decide. If you live somewhere hard, what is it building in you? Is it strengthening you or is it weakening you?
Wow.
If you live
Well,
somewhere easy, what might you be missing? Is there something that you are lacking in because of that?
yeah, you're not getting some character building traits built into you that you normally would if it was hard.
Hmm.
That's very, 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 very real and
What
very
would you
true.
change if you stopped fighting your environment and started learning from it? And that's something that I have been doing by just, having these conversations and kind of growing on them.
That's pretty powerful. But I mean, I've never fought where I was or the environment or anything. I just don't. I enjoy life too much. So whether I'm in Wyoming or out, it's all the same to me, except for when I'm in Wyoming, I'm closer to my family. So for
Yeah.
that reason,
Were you hesitant at all to move to Wyoming before you got the job here whenever we were living in Florida?
yes, because it costs money to move a family,
Yes, it
right?
does.
So I was absolutely hesitant to even think because your mom and I thought about many times. We thought about how we could just go ahead and move the family up to not Wyoming, but Montana. And
Yeah.
there are certain parts of Montana that can be even more brutal, right?
I've heard
Whether
that
it's
there's
weather,
certain spots, yes.
yeah, whether it's weather or conditions, it can be even more brutal. And so we had intention of doing it sooner or later, but I was hesitant because it just costs money. And if you don't have a job that justifies moving to Montana, why would you? Right. So, but in answer to your question, once I got the job, it was like, okay, this is done.
So you weren't nervous to move to Wyoming per se, though? Like, yes, there's nerves there moving a family to a different state and traveling and such, but moving to Wyoming didn't have you nervous?
No, sir. Should it? Should it?
I wouldn't think so. I don't necessarily think that there should be any place that somebody should really be concerned about moving to unless you're not familiar with like a major city, living in the heart of a major city type of feeling and then moving there where it's a little more crazy, a little more quick, fast pace. That
Yes.
can be a little too much. That can be too much on someone, but moving to Wyoming, it's the opposite effect. You're gonna get it's gonna be so slow sometimes that you're gonna be bored out of your mind. So you have to make do. And that's why a lot of people like outdoors activities here and stuff like that and fills up their time, toys,
Yeah.
skiing.
Yeah. 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 And I can fill up my time with just sitting and chatting with my family. So
Mm.
You know, it's easier for me. That's just me. And
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody's kind of catching on to that as well. I'm too easygoing and too unconcerned about my where I live. And if I was just moving my family or just myself for that matter to Wyoming and did not have the ability to create an income, that would be a little scary, I guess, you know,
Oh, yeah.
because it could be harsh in
Very.
Wyoming.
Yeah, very harsh. And so dealing with that and not having a decent income can really take a toll on you.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So in that regard, God has blessed us, right? But yeah, I mean, now I can imagine why some of our listeners would be thinking about what we're talking about and be thinking about whether or not they would ever move to Wyoming. The first question I'm sure they're asking is why?
Mm-hmm. Why?
Why again?
That's a good question. When I figure that out, I'll let you know
Well, for me, there were a lot of whys.
outside of the new job.
Yes, absolutely. And we've discussed that. It's being more rural. That's a plus to me. A big plus. The Bible talks about when at some point in time things are going to degrade or erode to the point where a lot of people, most are going to want to run to the mountains.
And we're
Why?
already in the mountains. So
Yeah,
that just cut it
right.
down for us. Now we get
And
our
it's
bunker ready and lock and
right.
load.
Exactly. But, society at large, especially in the urban areas, it's degrading. Culture is changing and degrading to the point to where a lot of people feel unsafe in these more heavily populated areas, and justifiably so in some regards. Because when you take God out, which is what they're doing as often as they possibly can, out of government, out of schools, out of everything, right? Out of the jobs, when you take God out, this is what's going to happen. And so I know that Wyoming is largely a state that understands and professes Jesus Christ as Lord.
That it does. So you've taken a liking to Wyoming. You're a fan of it.
Yes,
It's definitely a
yes.
homestead for you. Would you ever move back to Florida?
Not unless I had a really, really good reason to.
Too liberal?
You know, I'm sorry.
Too liberal?
No, no, and it has nothing to do with politics. As a matter of fact, Florida has been a very, very red state, right?
I figured as much.
Yeah, very conservative state. But no, I just haven't had a reason. There's not been a reason. Now, if, like, say, for example, you guys are a part of my family, went there for a job or just desire, it didn't matter which, I would be taking my motorhome and visiting that particular city more frequently or frequently because I haven't been there frequently at all. But we would be there frequently and annually, for a couple months out of the year.
Well, that's
And
exciting to hear.
matter of fact, if for some reason you moved down there, you'd have to make room in my driveway for my motorhome.
I can certainly do that. You've made enough room for me. It's only fair that I make some room for you. So, more
Well,
than
I
welcome.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. I guess turnabout's fair play, huh?
That's it.
But that would be the only reason, right?
Mhm.
Florida doesn't have anything for me otherwise. And especially Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, blah, 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 right? They don't have anything for me. It would take some of my family moving down there for me to even want to go in those states other
What's
than
funny
work.
is I feel like a lot of people think that of Wyoming with what you just did,
And I'm okay with it, right?
because
I
it is
mean,
definitely a flyover state.
yeah, yep, in the eyes of many. Okay, right? Okay.
Mhm.
It's okay. It's funny because I feel like I sound more and more like my dad when I say that. And even look like him when I do. It's great. And we do that. We do that. Yeah, what about you?
As far as moving in general or somewhere specific or what?
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, first, some of the same questions that were asked earlier. Are you blaming where you live or letting it shape you at the
Yes.
moment?
Yeah, that one was literally put on there because that one pertained to me. I for the longest time had the resentment toward Wyoming, resented moving here because of it being so different from me, my environment, my likes, my habits, my things that I like to do. I'm not a very big I'll go skiing occasionally, but I don't do a lot of other out fishing, hunting, all that good stuff.
Anymore. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's never been a big part of who I am, and that's a big part of Wyoming, so it hindered what I could do here, which meant anything I wanted to do that was more me involved me leaving, driving great distances, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to get to where I wanted to go rather than being in a major city where I can kinda have so much at my disposal, there's no real reason to leave. I just look up something to do that weekend and whatever, plenty of options to look for and do. I've been trying I've been working on trying to change my mindset to be appreciative of what I've had and looking forward to what's to come because another
Absolutely.
thing I learned was there's everything happens within seasons, and this was a season, is a season, and eventually a new season will come about, and when it does, I'll be ready for it. I'll be excited
Rock
for it,
on. Yep.
and in the meantime, looking at it as a sense of how did I grow from it? What instead of it being the bane of my existence and it caused me so much pain and heartache, what were the few moments that were like, "Oh, those were good memories. Those were fond memories," and they happened here.
And they happened here in
They
Wyoming.
happened in Wyoming.
Fantastic. Well, but it is a hard place. What is it building in you?
I would say a couple things. It's definitely allowed me to see that I mean, this goes everywhere, but especially here in Wyoming because it is rugged and it is rural and, to a degree, when you join a community here, they're almost more inviting. Eventually they're going to be you're going to join that community and when they do, you make friends that will always be available to help you, will always be cool helping you, which is really nice, but then at the same time, being as big as Wyoming is and being solo, you gain a mindset of doing things on your own, getting it done on your own, being self-reliant and understanding who you are. That's a big one for me. These were pivotal years to understanding who I was and where I'm at and what I'm going to do with my life. This was the place that I started my family. So, met my wife and then had little man. He was born here, so it'll always
Yep.
be a core memory.
Yep. Absolutely. And I was going to say that, I mean, it's really some of the biggest points in your life
Mhm.
because it's foundational for your marriage and all of that. And I'm kind of thinking it's pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah. Well, if you were living somewhere easy, what would you be missing?
If I were living somewhere easy, I don't know. If you're talking see, now, I have friends that live outside of Wyoming and live in major cities and, like, in Texas and Florida and stuff. I still have
Yes.
friends down
Yeah.
there, and
Yes.
they talk about how, I went like, we would come and visit, and we would go and check out a new place and be like, "I've lived here for this long, I didn't know that place was down there down the street," and then,
Yeah.
there's so much there that and people have different tastes and likes and acquiring, so maybe they may not focus on that and realize it's there until somebody introduces them. But it's crazy that to live a life where now being here in Wyoming for so long, to live a life where you have so much at your disposal, it can become mundane and you have so much that you don't want to do anything. It almost flips the mindset because anytime I always look forward to getting out and I always look forward to going and exploring and seeing something new, doing something new, and being able to be
There's nothing here.
because there's nothing here
Right. Right.
for me
It
in
sparked this.
particular.
Yes. I could see that. Absolutely. Okay. So what would change if you stopped fighting your environment or have you?
I feel like we're working on it. That's what I'm doing with these questions right here. Is I'm stopping the fighting of the environment and more so understanding it
Stopping to
and
learn
coming to
from it?
terms, yeah, and just coming to terms with where I'm at and looking forward to what's to come next season.
Next season?
Next season on Noah Avery. Little shout out there if you want to see my actual adventures that I go on. I do have a vlog channel on YouTube. It's called Noah Avery. Check it out.
Yep. 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 And it's a lot of travel and a lot of good food.
Episode part 2 of Disneyland. The actual day at Disneyland is about to drop. So I don't think it'll have dropped by the time, well, it actually might have dropped by the time this recording comes out, so make sure to keep an eye out. Part
Right
1's
on.
already out, part 2's coming
Yeah.
out.
Noah Avery. Copy that. Well, that concludes that portion of that line of question.
No? Well, yeah. And those are also questions for you guys listening. You guys may not live in Wyoming, but where you do live, does that affect how you are, who you are, what you do, how you treat or look at life? Is it mundane to live in an environment that has so much at your disposal, or do you appreciate what you have? All of these different questions. Let us know.
Right on. Matter of fact, most probably live in a place that we wouldn't consider hard, right, compared to Wyoming. But they may be in a circumstance that to where it feels hard, and it's
Yeah,
hard there
it is.
for them, you know. And we understand that, by the way. Have been there.
Oh man. Uh, if you could pick anywhere to live, would it be Wyoming?
No, no. If I was living where any place in America or where in the world, what are we talking about?
Yeah, let's just make it fun and go world.
Okay. Well, I'd stay in America first and
Okay.
foremost because, right? And I would most likely pick someplace in Montana.
And so Montana would be a final destination.
Yeah, and someplace to the west of Whitefish by at least 60 to 100 miles.
Now that I've been up there, I've seen, and it is beautiful.
Yes, it is. And, it doesn't have to be on a lake, but it could be. But if I was going to live where I want to live, it would be that. What about you?
I think you already know the answer to that, but I'll go ahead and indulge anyways.
Well, I want you to.
I grew up in Florida. You've
Uh-huh.
given me a opportunity to understand best of both worlds. Very hectic Florida life where there is so much it's crazy, and then more rural, laid back, very slower paced, outdoorsy Wyoming life.
Yep, yep,
I've been able to
yep.
experience both, and in the days of Florida, those were pivotal years as well. My childhood, I was able to do a lot there, and that really helped me grow into the mindset that I have of wanting to explore and do. Now that I have my little man and have Tiff, I have been able to, well, take them both. Take Tiffany a couple times to Florida, and she has grown a liking towards it, the lifestyle that
Yep.
there
Yep.
is, especially in Central Florida. And then I've taken little man and we had fun adventures, and he has shown that he is very fond of the beach and being able to go and explore and play on the shore of the beach and play in the ocean and all that good stuff. So we've contemplated that being a final destination, and we can understand why it's. I used to call it Land of the Near Deads because there was so many retired people there.
Sure,
So there's
sure.
a reason why.
Yeah, I've never had a fondness for the beach, though.
That's
I
fair.
never
I didn't
have.
either. I don't either. I appreciate it because of how much Lincoln and Tiff enjoy it.
Sure,
And the
sure.
overall day of it. We wouldn't live on the beach, we would live in Central Florida, probably, and then on the weekends, on whatever holidays, whatever we wanna do,
Right.
we'd go and
Whatever you
explore.
wanted to.
And it's the whole shindig of it, of being able to go and pack a lunch, take the towels and put it in the sand. Maybe after the beach, you leave and go and find a burger joint that's on the water that you get yourself a really good meal at the end of the day, maybe some ice cream
Yeah.
on a
Yep.
beach town,
Yep.
downtown beach
Yep.
town, and just make a fun day of it.
Yeah, and we've had several trips involving the whole family where we've done just that. And I can tolerate the beach for a day
For a day.
for those reasons, right? Being able to do it with the family and find the restaurant on the beach and just enjoy spending time with the family. But if my family wasn't there, nah,
Not for you.
no sir. And that's funny because it's kind of rural a lot of times,
Yeah. Yeah.
comparatively speaking.
Comparatively.
Being on the beach, for example, in Clearwater, you being on the beach in Clearwater, certain sections of that beach I've been there and not seen anybody the whole day, right?
Which is really nice. Those are the spots to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. But you compare that to being in Orlando, you feel like you're alone. It's
Yes.
kind of cool, but even that does not cause me to want to hang out on the beach. That's just me.
That's fair. And we need to be careful because if we talk about it too much, I'm going to have to change this podcast title. Instead of being something about Wyoming, it's going to have to be something about Florida with a little bit of Wyoming. So we'll move away from that. We clearly know where I want to head and go to. But as of right now, this season's definitely a major part of it is Wyoming. So Wyoming isn't perfect. It's hard. It's windy. It keeps you home sometimes, especially during the snowy time.
Yes, it does.
But after 10 years, I think it's made me a lot better.
Really?
A lot more appreciative.
Fantastic. Well, fantastic. Did I mention that was fantastic?
I think so. You may need to say it again just to be clear.
No, I'm not doing it again.
Okay, that's fair.
Well, we are out of time, bro.
I'm thinking so. I think we wrap it up here and we make this episode about Wyoming. Mainly. There's a few topics here and there, but mainly about Wyoming.
I like it.
I like it too. Alrighty, well in that case, I'm going to end it with the hot take unless you have any final closing statements or remarks or rebuttals.
For the hot take, man.
Sounds
I've
good.
been waiting.
Well, in that case, as you guys know, it's become a tradition at this point for me to end with a hot take, if you will. Something that may pertain to the episode, maybe or maybe not. Something that you may agree with or may not. You guys let me know in the comments. But with that, this week's hot take, I think hard environments build better people, but only if you choose to grow instead of complain. And with that, live life to the fullest.